Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for some playoff racing action for the round of 8 for the NAISCC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. Tonight, the drivers hit that of the 2.66-mile monster of a track. It's Talladega Super Speedway, as the drivers are going to be here for that of the Buddy Customs Bates Gone Fishin 200. It's going to be a wild one here tonight, where 8 drivers are setting up this round. And again, it's only here at Talladega, then Michigan. Whoever succeeds and makes the top 4 gets a win. They get to move on to our championship race at Atlanta. The pressure's on. Who's racing for a championship? We'll find out here tonight. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall. And Zach, tonight certainly is going to be an interesting night to be watching these drivers. We've been trying to calculate when they're going to come into pit road, who's going to be teaming with who. But I think the biggest thing for us, Super Speedway Racing, it brings back faces we haven't seen all season long.
No, it definitely does. Talladega is just that track that seems like everybody returns back that you haven't seen for a while. So some drivers that we haven't seen throughout the season, they have made the return here to Talladega, and they can play a pivotal role in the way this all shakes out. Remember how this playoff system works here. We got those 8 drivers here tonight who have made it onto this round, but we got 2 races here at Talladega and Michigan upcoming next week. It's going to be tough here tonight to put yourself in a strong position for going into Michigan. It's going to be so critical, and we got to make sure those playoff drivers are staying out of these incidents. They do have one fast repair tonight, but I tell you what, that could get used up pretty quickly. It's going to be a nerve-wracking one for sure for those 8 drivers.
Absolutely. And the 8 drivers that made it into this round that are still have their hopes for a championship: Vincent Sora, Mark Whitley, Brandon Colley, Danny Cochran, Ethan Smith, John Forbes, Sean Hutt-Stutler, and James Levelin being the last driver to make it in. And we're now going to hop on board with some drivers that are having fun, as there's a little bit of a spot here at Talladega where the drivers can launch their cars up in the sky. So that's why you saw one of the drivers just sitting in wait, because we're about to see a driver go up into space. But also joining us here tonight is going to be that of Brian Johnson, being our pit road reporter. Brian, you've been talking to the drivers, also trying to figure out pit roads and pit stops for when they're going to be thinking about coming into pit road. What are you expecting to see here tonight?
Yeah, well, I did get a chance to talk to a few of these guys, a couple of these teams, just trying to get a feel for who's going to be working with who, because, a lot of these teams, maybe only 2 or 3 guys, and to really make a good push through the field, you typically like to have 4. So, you talked with Cochran Sora Racing, so tonight it looks like you're going to have Danny Cochran and Vincent Sora. They are said they're going to stick to themselves for the most part, don't want to work with anybody and help their competition along the way. I did get a chance to talk to one of them. I won't rat them out, but one of them did say that they may have spoken to some other drivers saying that, hey, yeah, I'll work with you, but they may or may not later in the race. Talk with Morecast Racing. And they say that they're are open to work with anybody, so not too picky on who they work with. Just want to try to get that good finish here tonight. And then I did get a chance to talk with Limitless, and tonight for them it's all about survival. So they are open to work with anybody, but just as long as they're safe about working with them, so they're not looking to get too crazy. Maybe get into the mix of it up in the front of the pack. So. As of right now, looks like not a whole lot of, planned alliances between these teams here tonight. But as far as pit stops go, I think you might see 2 strategies here. We did calculate the fuel mileage just a little bit ago, and it looks like you can get anywhere between about 30 to 32, maybe 33 laps on a tank of gas. So, stages at 35, not going to be able to make it. So you may see these guys kind of do the reverse strategy that we've kind of seen pop up in the past year or so, where as soon as you can make it to the stage, you come down and top off and then get back out there. And what that can do for you is when you pit with your team, 3, 4 guys pit together, break away from the pack, and now you get back out on pit road, you're good to the stage on fuel, and you can just push your team and yourself in a line. Don't have to check up for the pack, and potentially can gain a little bit of time there. But if we do see one caution in the first stage, we may see these guys stay out, because under that caution they may be able to save that amount of fuel and make it to the end.
It's going to be a lot of different strategies we're going to be seeing here tonight. And Zach, I think for myself, I was chuckling a little bit just watching the guys having fun there, trying to they found the spot where you can just fool around. But we understand why the drivers are fooling around. This is Talladega. It is not really about practicing. It's about finding your speed, going full throttle, and being it up front at the right time. But man, to be up there, they've got to be preparing for qualifying, which we were looking at qualifying just like a couple of weeks ago or almost a month ago. Session got kind of squirrely on putting the race in a time session, but here tonight for qualifying, the drivers only have 1 lap to put down their fastest time.
Yeah, it looks like 1 lap is what it's going to have to be for them, and that's a little bit of an interesting scenario. It looks like so normally we see the drivers take that first lap of the time qualifying, the run up on the high line to build the speed up for that second lap. Tonight, it's just going to have to be the out lap that builds the speed. So I think one of the most critical things we're going to have to see for a good qualifying lap is a good exit out pit road. It's a lot of times we don't talk about that, and a good run actually on the access road. It can get a little bit sketchy and hairy there on the access road on the apron of this racetrack down in 1 and 2 with it getting a little bit free with the truck because it's so flat down there. But if you can carry good speed there, it will actually carry all the way through into that time lap that you take the first time around. So getting around that first apron there on the warm-up lap is going to be a critical portion of their qualifying lap even.
Well, practice is done. Qualifying is underway, and as drivers are getting them set up and ready to get going, it gives us time to say a couple of thanks to the amazing sponsors here tonight. Starting things off with Track Racer Refined Gaming. If you're trying to get yourself started with a racing rig or finish with a racing rig, Track Racer is the place to go. Track Racer Refined Gaming, as well as for your qualifying results, being that sponsored by Hot Lap Designs. If you're trying to get games on iRacing with some of the best designs out there, go to Hot Lap Designs. They can get your vehicles painted up as well as your suit and your helmet on iRacing. Go to Hot Lap Designs. Get yourself some of the best designs on iRacing. They can get it done for you. And as well, Race Car Graveyard. If you're trying to get yourself into the diecast game, get yourself diecast from anywhere from 1/24th ratios to 1/64th ratios. They can get you covered. And if you go to that of Instagram and look up at Race Car Graveyard and use the promo code RCGY, you can get yourself a discount getting that diecast for yourself. But drivers are done with the warm-ups. It's now for the time to lap as we're watching the 99 trying to put down his time. This is going to be Trevor Earhart coming down on the backstretch.
Yeah, is putting down a lap, and this is critical even. We talk about, a lot of times where you can make a lot of passes at a restrictor plate track. You have the ability to get stuff done due to the package that we have with these trucks, especially being able to make runs. But at the same time, when you have that stacked up pack style race in there that you can take multiple lanes, it clogs up the traffic and you get kind of stuck back in the pack there. And that's where you could be in the hornet's nest that gets you in that first wreck. So you're going to want to see a lot of guys qualifying up front here, trying to get in them front 4 rows of those when it gets too wide, so they're not involved, hopefully, in the big one.
Currently, after the first surge of drivers, you see them top of the board. It's that of John Forbes, one of our championship 8. They're left in the playoffs. Vincent Sora is going to be getting second. Ethan Smith there, as well as Sean Hutztetler going to be all the way down in 5th. We're starting to see a lot of our championship 8 qualifying well, and this is where they need to be to have solid runs. It's coming through the tri-oval and coming across the line. It's going to be the 5, Dakota Moniz you see on screen. For a lot of these drivers, though, they are prepared, excited for tonight. And yes, tonight is important because it is a playoff race. It's the first race of the round of 8, but the pressure is almost instant. These playoffs, only 5 races, but for the first 2 rounds, it's 2 races each. So, Zach, that means these guys have to be perfect tonight and next week at Michigan.
Yeah, some driver may luck themselves into a win that helps, get them out of a situation here, but you never want to put up your back against the wall to have to go against to the next round. So, here in Talladega tonight, it's going to be very critical to set yourself up with a good finish here. It's not critical to get the win. The really big thing here is going to be going for that position there that gets you a good position in the playoffs. But also, we can't forget too, because I completely actually forgot about this. There's actually money on the line tonight here, Sam.
Yeah, money is on the line for these drivers. They are going to be trying their best to get the best finish possible. But tonight, on the line, these drivers have $50 that they're going to be trying to go for. to get the win. Second place, $20, and for third place, $10. And they are certainly hoping to get up front and with cash on the line, and also with it being a playoff race. We just know the intensity level is going to be high. A lot of bumping in those final couple of laps. As dumping it into the wall is going to be that of Cody Reed, who's just been putting laps down. Again, this was only a 1-lap qualifying, so the 25 was just running some pace laps by himself, hoping that that is not the way he's going to be racing here, because Zach, I think based off all what we've seen at super speedways, you want to be in the pack. You do not want to be by yourself.
Oh, by yourself is definitely going to be a long, long night till that pack catches back up, and then you're going to be a lap down fighting to get back on the same lap as everybody. But you're going to have a chance for sure. But it looks like Mark Willie here is the final 20 seconds click away. Looks like he's possibly going to be the driver that pulls it off. Don't look like any other driver is elected to take another time here. So Mark Willie going to start off this next round here, the round of 8, with a good position there on pole.
And, you know, if we've been watching some of the previous broadcasts here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, Zach, you got to cover it. Mark Whitley is very good at Talladega and being up front. He just finds a way to get wins on this course, and in the trucks, he's going to be having to stay up front and hope for the best. As the drivers are getting ready, we're being prepared as well. It is time for the round of 8 playoff racing here for the NAISCC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. It's the Buddy Customs Bait Gone Fishin' 200 as we take a look at our hot lap designs qualifying results. It's going to be Mark Whitley in the 77 getting the pole position with John Forbes in second place. Dakota Moniz moving up to third with Vincent Soar in fourth. Ryan Ferraro in fifth place. Tom Bourne in sixth. Ethan Smith in seventh. Danny Cochran in eighth place. Cody Reed and Brandon Colley finishing out your top 10.
Here in the 11th position is going to be Sean Huffstuttle, one of our top 8 playoff contenders. 12th is going to go to Joshua Freed. 13th is going to be Cody Dorsey, another playoff contender. There's James Lowen in 14th. 15th is going to be John McAdam. 16th is going to be Trevor Hart in the 99 machine. 17th is going to be Jonathan Smith. 18th, Christopher Norris in the 38 machine. 19th is going to go to Tyler Dingler. And rounding out the top 20 is Martin Morales Jr. in the 24.
21st going to be that of Gregory Shaw with Alexander Light going to be in 22nd. Aaron Kralick's going to be in 23rd with Kyle Rochelle in 24th. Thomas Green, haven't seen him in a while, going to be back in 25th position with Thomas Walter, Max Foner, Jesse Thornick, and Carl Pooler. Going to be finishing out your 29 drivers getting prepared to take off for today's race. And with no surprise, Zach, as we were looking at the results, there is a handful of drivers that decided to not qualify. And, you know, there's always that strategy that throws out. Some drivers love battling and being up front, being the leader, while others take the passive approach. We'll wait until the very end to finally make our move.
Yeah, I think you're actually going to see a lot of drivers try to pull that off here tonight due to the money also being on the line. I think that's got a lot of factor there. You know, a lot of drivers here, you know, there's 8 of them out there thinking about playoffs. You know, the money's going to be an additional add-on to that. But the other group of drivers, I think they're thinking just about getting that victory, and you got to be there to get that victory. So I think you might see a few drivers here in this first stage of 35 laps play it really cool, and then you might see a pack that drops way back here and tries to stay out of any action here early in this race to make sure they have a fast repair for later in this race just in case something happens there. So definitely going to be different strategies being played, but I think some of the playoff drivers, they'll probably be aggressive to try to get up front and hold those positions.
Having fast repair allows these drivers at the end of the stage to be aggressive, willing to battle with one another, and maybe doorbank coming across the line, get those stage points. Get stage points, only the top 5 get them. And with how the points are kind of being reset coming into this round for the 8 drivers that made it into the round of 8, they know they've got to get every point possible because you do not want to be on the back foot going into Michigan next week. Again, tonight's race going to be that of Buddy Custom Baits. If you're looking to get yourself into getting that of artificial fishing lures, the company that specifies in soft plastics, jigs, and as well more. And they also have a wide variety of soft plastics and leading lures. Some of them are that of artificial with the lead of your big one. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and place your order at BuddyCustomBaits.com to get yourself some high-quality soft plastics before the fish start biting this spring. Again, that is Buddy Custom Baits. If you're looking to get more, again, go to www.BuddyCustomBaits.com. BuddyCustomBaits.com to get your fishing needs as the driver's getting ready to go through 3 and 4. Zach, the one thing that's so unique about this track, it's not like other ovals. You have to first get through the tri-oval before we get to that green flag racing.
Yeah, I think it gives this track a unique advantage for that outside line. We usually see that outside line prevail farther as you get down the straightaway with the run it gets off the top. So that's one thing you're going to be watching for here tonight. How does the outside work, especially because you got to have that lead when you get all the way past this tri-oval.
Well, the drivers are strapped in. They're ready to go. It's playoff racing round number 8. And the Buddy Custom Baits guys, they're ready. It's Gone Fishing 200 as they're going through the tri-oval. Mark Whitley, John Forbes, Dakota Moniz, that of Vincent Soren, Ryan Ferraro, your top 5 for 75 laps. It's time to go side-by-side racing. We are green here at Talladega. Again, stage 1 at that end of lap 35. So drivers prepared to go for hardcore racing. And already, John Forbes dropping it to the inside, going into turns 1 and 2.
He got a great push from the 15 of Vincent Sora there, who started up in that 4th position as Moniz was not able to stay latched to the back bumper of Mark Whitley. It allowed John Forbes to jump to the lead. Now Vincent Sora, he's going to have the help. It looks like a Tom Bourne up there on the high side in the 31 now coming to his help as the outside recovers here down the back straightaway.
They're going to be seeing side-by-side racing for primarily most of this race. It's all about finding an opening for some drivers and hoping the lane you're in gets moving. But Zach, we've seen Talladega racing in the Cup cars. It's very difficult for everyone to stay side-by-side for very long, but this is what the advantage and the kind of the fun of the truck side is. You can make some major moves with just you and one other truck.
You definitely can. This is a package that allows you to push. It gets aggressive out there. These guys are really leaning all over the back bumper of the deck lids of these trucks. I tell you what, that's where we're going to see maybe some incidents come from, because the energy and the runs you get are just so gigantic. As we jump on board here with Tom Bourne, we can see he's all over the back of this 15 and just continues to push him down the straightaway. It's amazing how much energy you can generate. As Vincent Sword now is going to be a half a truck ahead, doesn't clear here down into 3, but see Tom Bourne has to jump up high as he loses the nose there, trying not to get in the back bumper. As through those corners, these things get very unstable with someone jacking your rear.
Also got to be careful of engine temps, not to get those too high, as well as you're already still riding on board with Tom Bourne, and he's just still laying on the back bumper, wanting Vincent Sword to take off and get moving. But for these drivers right now, I mean, up front, you know it's going to be the drivers you have to watch out for. Vincent Sword, Mark Whitley, currently 1st and 4th. They have been the rivals for most of this season and been the top dogs. But another driver that's been looking pretty good, you see 3rd driver on the outside in the 2. That's where we find Danny Cochran. Danny Cochran started up the season very strong, was being pace to pace with his teammate Vincent Sora, but he's kind of fallen off of recently. We're wondering if the 2 can get another win, and in his mind, he wants to sweep the super speedways.
Yeah, I tell you, Danny Cochran was very, very strong there at Daytona. We've seen him be able to pull a victory off with the help of his teammate Vincent Sora there. So they're definitely going to be ones to watch out for, like you said there, Sam. But, man, there's so many hungry drivers here tonight, and it's a great field of 29 here as they round through the tri-oval here to complete lap 3. It's a whole group of 29 side by side all the way throughout the whole field.
Which is kind of surprising. Usually you see the top, 10 to 15 drivers staying side by side, and then you might see the back half of the field all just get in line, give each other plenty of space, staying in the draft, but not trying to get in anyone else's way. This is rare to see, but with the fact that there is a fast repair, it allows these drivers to stay this aggressive and on top of one another.
Aggression is definitely the key here at Talladega, too, to make quickly make passes. But that aggression can lead to what we've always known as the big one. As you see back here looking throughout the field, you got the 9 machine there. Cody Dorsey's running up in the high line along with Sean Husteller, one of our contenders for the round of 8. He's going to be a driver looking to move on here. He's going to have to do a big thing here in these next 2 rounds if he wants to, or next 2 races if he wants to move on to that Final 4.
That's going to be so important. And, coming into this race, I think for a lot of these drivers, they knew Talladega was going to be the wild card race. They can get any one of our 8 drivers into that Final 4. We've seen a lot of different series here on Freaky Fast, and whenever there's a super speedway race that can get you into a championship race of the Final 4, the pressure's on. You're hoping to continue to stay fast. And you think of for the Cup Series, for the NAISCC Cup Series. It was Sean Hutstetler in the 94 that kind of snuck away, was the driver under the radars. Oh boy, Trevor Earhart into the wall, and we're already seeing him wrecking in the middle of the field. And just like that, the big one strikes here on lap number 5.
Oh no, exactly what you didn't want to see, especially for the back half of the field. This is where you expect it to be a little bit more give and take. And it looks like some incidents have gone down here to bring out our first yellow. That is a major one, I must say, also.
Looking to see if there's any other drivers that are going to be in this one, but it looks like on this replay, watch out for the 99 and the 9. I believe they make contact between one another here, as this is after the carnage has already struck in. But I mean, Zach, this is one of those things where we were seeing how aggressive the drivers were, and we knew it was going to be just one little bump, and you see it there. That's what it was. Dorsey touches the apron, bounces up into Earhart, and everyone else chain reacts, gets involved in this one.
Major incident there. It just shows you one little tap to the left front there. The 99 shoots him off the racetrack. He's trying to do his best to hold it all out of the wall, and man, it just collects a lot more people. And you can see there's Thomas Green also in the 3, John McAdam in the 47. Multiple trucks. I know one truck that kind of scathed through that, luckily, was Jonathan Smith, along, I believe, with Aaron Kralik. Those two survived that. They're dropping low on the apron, but man, a lot of the drivers here. You see Tyler Dingler, Gregory Shaw was involved. So hurt trucks here early in the going, and that's tough to see already. But like you said, there is a fast repair, but you don't want to be using it this early.
No, you absolutely do not want to be using it this early, and it's going to be frustrating for some of these drivers, knowing that they've got to figure out how to rebound. They do not want to be involved in this one. And looking at the drivers that were all involved in this wreck, luckily, all of the championship 8 drivers not involved in that incident. It was everyone else that was not a part. Everyone else that is just racing out here to go for the cash that were involved in that wreck. But everyone in the pit road, just like what we were hearing, fuel was going to be an issue for these drivers. And with the timing of this yellow, makes it to where everyone should be good to make it to the end of the stage at the end of lap 35.
Yeah, everybody comes down here, takes a little bit of top off of fuel here to top off the tanks. And, you know, even with that caution laps right there, it would have been probably pretty close to make it to that 35 point. But I think everybody just said, let's make sure we make it there. There's no reason not to take any risk here early in the stage 1 to, ruin your playoff chances, especially if you're one of those 8 drivers. But, man, everybody comes down pit road here, tops them off, and they should be good to make it to the stage. So we can see that aggressive racing start a little bit earlier here, possibly, because, we're no longer going to have that green flag. That's going to kind of bring in a different period of racing.
Yeah, and for a lot of the drivers further back, it's usually this further back group that we see that patience kick in. But like I noted on, drivers wanted to be aggressive and caught up in a wreck early. Well, since we're under our first yellow of the night, gives us an opportunity to talk about some of the more amazing sponsors that we have here at that of Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Starting things off at that Advanced Sim Racing. Like we noted on with Track Racer, they can get you started up with your racing rig or finish it. Well, if you're looking for all the other assets or even get your racing rig started, Advanced Sim Racing has you set up. It's practically, you could say, the racing hub of where to get all of your chassis and retails for sim racing. Use the promo code FreakyFast5 to get yourself 5% off at Advanced Sim Racing. Please check this website out, the advancedsimracing.com. If anything, the website itself is amazing, and they are for sure going to get you to want to look at some of their items and maybe purchase it. So use that discount code, get 5% off. It is well worth your time. Zach, other sponsors we have that at ButtKicker, and they're one of our longest running sponsors here. And I got to say, for some of these drivers, feeling instead of just hearing can give you a great advantage as well.
Oh, it definitely can, Sam. Not only in the sim, not only that, because I've talked to people who've had ButtKickers, man, and they say not only does it help them in the sim for immersion levels of vibrations, but they can also use it to watch movies to help with pace, and also use it in FPS other games. So, man, there's lots of different things out there for ButtKicker, and you can use that discount code there, FreakyFast20, to get 20% off at ButtKicker.com, and you can feel what you've been missing. And I can tell you, if you haven't felt it yet, you're definitely missing out.
Oh, most definitely. Again, use that promo code and get your 20% off from ButtKicker. And it's over, but we still want to praise it. I still can't believe how much of a success it was, Zach. that of our 6 hours of Daytona for diabetes. I got to say, what an event it was, as we have gotten up to 1.4K views. Over $1,000 was donated and more for Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. What an event it was, and we cannot wait for the next one. We're already trying to figure out what the next event's going to be. But man, what a successful Friday night it was. And if you have not checked it out, I would go, maybe not sit and watch the whole entire 6 hours, but do it in segments. Watch an hour each time, because each hour was a different story, what was going on track, and as well, who was different on who was in the booth. It's a great event it was. And Zach, I got to give big thanks and props to you, John, that of Robert Moyer, who's up at the booth running productions for us here tonight. It was a complete success, and kudos to everyone else that was involved.
Oh man, I appreciate the thanks there for that, and it really blows my mind with how it all played out and how successful it was. Robert came to the idea with me, and I kind of ran with it from there, and man, it turned into something I never in my in my life would imagine. I personally wouldn't expect that we'd have had that much pool, that many people come to us and try to help us out and bring such great awareness to a great foundation like Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. And the amount of money we raised, I mean, this was out of the goodwill of people's hearts. There was no donations that were forced. This was just people giving, man. And that's the good part of the iRacing community. And we tried to bring it out for sure.
Certainly did bring it out. We cannot wait for the next event, as we're back out on track. Pace cars pulling off. We're getting back to green flag racing. Alexander Light, though, do want to give note, 13, first DNF of the race. We're left with 28 drivers on track, but up front, John Forbes, Mark Whitley, Vincent Sora, Dakota Moniz, Brandon Colley going to be your top 5 as the drivers are ready to go on. It's the Buddy Custom Bates Gone Fishing 200. We are green once again as John Forbes tries to get a good launch. That inside line, they're much closer. The 77 gonna need a little bit of help from that of the 5 Moniz.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna need some more help right there, and it just didn't get it right there. As now they come through the corner. Vincent Soares able to get up side by side. He's gonna have his teammate also there, Danny Cochran in the 2, so that's locking those 2 up together there. That's a lot of help. But now Moniz to the back bumper. He's got Brandon Colley also helping in the 1 as the 77 5 and 1 lock up down the back straightaway. They got a huge run.
That's the thing, though. Even if there's a little bit of spacing, if you're able to stay side by side and just wait for the truck to catch up to you, you get this type of a run. Moniz shoving the 77, trying to give him enough space. Coming out of turn number 4, will Mark Whitley have enough space to come down? And once the 77 is up front, has enough space, I know for a fact Mark Whitley is not the most. He's one of the drivers that can be very scary because he's willing to block anyone.
Oh, Mark is willing to be aggressive, that's for sure. Definitely. It's something that's his driving style. I think he brings it from, the dirt background. He kind of got to be super aggressive in that style racing, and he's definitely showing that here as he's leading the field. And he's shown, like you said earlier in the segment, he is shown to be very, very good at controlling the lead. And right here, he's trying to make moves, but man, that was a decision that he looked to make to go high. Now Moniz all in the back bumper. This could get a little hairy here down in the 3.
That's the main thing. If you hesitate at any moment here, Super Speedway Racing, you can see your night being done in an instant. It's going to be side by side for the lead. John Forbes on the outside, getting help from the 1 of Brandon Colley. Then on the inside, it's going to be Mark Whitley and Dakota Moniz. And they're just hoping that more drivers come attached and start helping. But, with Super Speedway Racing, sometimes you just got to follow the driver ahead of you. That's what we're finding. 15, currently 3rd in the line where he's at right now. As you're right on board, seeing the driver's point of view, I gotta say, Zach, it is so difficult to really trust at times. But sometimes when you're out here on track and you're following these drivers, it is a complete blind trust. The driver in front of you knows where they're going.
Well, if you're the 4th car on the bottom, 3rd car on the bottom there, you really can't see anything. You got your outside clouded up by the drivers on your outside. Then in front of you, you got 2 trucks or 3 trucks stacked up, and the spoilers are gigantic. You can't really see through these boxy things anyway, so it's a tough sight already. So like you said, you're kind of following the driver ahead of you, trying to stay in their tracks, and that's sometimes where you see drivers moving from left to right. They're following the truck in front of them instead of just kind of holding their line. So it's definitely interesting. You got to be careful with the swaying back and forth. That's where we see the lines come together. Right now, they're definitely, fanning out, spreading out, but nothing too crazy right now. That's where I start to worry is, John Forbes looked to make a move down to the bottom. He thought better of it, had to go back up, and a little bit of hesitation being shown from our leaders with these blocks.
Yeah, and right now you're going to be seeing the one Brandon Colley also just trying to give a huge shove on the back stretch, and there's the run he's looking for, but doesn't look like the 11 got enough of a run because here comes the 5, just a small little bump, and these zero pushes able to allow these drivers to stay side by side. But looking at this wider screen, we're kind of back to our traditional super speedway racing where you've got the front 10 to 15 drivers side by side, and then you got the long train of drivers staying single file to make sure that they are out of trouble here as in the early going.
I think that first caution there, that's a group. Oh, Forbes goes around in front of the field.
Forbes just in a blink of an eye, wrong bump, wrong place, and now the 31 gonna also come involved in the wreck. Tom Bourne into Forbes, and in a blink of an eye, tonight's race for one of our playoff drivers sees himself being spun around.
Oh man, that could have been so much worse, even though Tom Bourne looks like he, like you said, took part of that there with that hit. It looks like he'll actually get the worst end of the deal with the nose damage there. But man, that was just a common scenario. We see the tri-oval, Brandon Colley getting a little bit too much on the left rear or right rear quarter panel of that truck, and it's spinning him around here, I think.
We're going to see here on the instant replay and get a look of this incident, but it's kind of the worst place to give a bump to somebody. Is you're going to be seeing it on the quarter panel, giving the bump, still on the back bumper, and just a little bit too much on the quarter panel. Gets the 11 loose, spinning around. But Zach, the tri-oval is like one of the worst places you want to give anyone a bump unless it's the last lap. Forbes then gets into the wall, and with the speed that these drivers are going, doesn't matter how much you're locking on these brakes, you're going to be drifting down, and this is where we're going to be see the 31 doing his best to avoid, but the 11 continues to fade down, and contact made there.
Heavy contact there for Tom Bourne. That's unfortunate. And yeah, like you said, the tri-oval, if you're not lined up perfectly, the tri-oval, I mean, it's hard enough if you're lined up perfectly to push through there, but when you're not lined up, you're turning already. That truck's leaning a little bit into the banking of the track, and that's where you're unstable. It's almost like a corner itself with how high speed and how much you actually are turning and how banked it is. So in my opinion, it almost is a turn. So it's kind of a place, like you said, that you don't want to make contact, and it's hard not to with the way these trucks are like this. You're stacked up on top of each other, but I know that scared a lot of drivers right there, including John Forbes. And you know, he's a playoff contender, man. That could be a major factor for him. Luckily, it seems like not too crazy amount of damage there for him as he's getting it worked on pit road. Looks like he actually got a pretty good end of the deal while Tom Bourne got the real rough stick.
Yeah, and for John Forbes, one of our drivers has been the most consistent for most of the night. Got to say, for most of the season, the 11 comes in as our third most top 10s finishes of the season with 11, only having Danny Cochran and Vincent Sora having more than the 11 coming into tonight's race. 7 top 5s, but no wins for the 11 of John Forbes, which there's been a couple of races in the early going where we thought maybe John Forbes was going to get a win. I think most notably that sticks out of my mind has to be Darlington before being taken out by a lap car. But, you know, besides that incident, ever since Darlington, John Forbes has been kind of just lingering. He hasn't been a driver that's shown a lot of speed to be up front, challenging for a victory. And here tonight, after being involved in that wreck, he's got to be thinking, changing his mind of how he wants to be moving forward, as Forbes did not use a fast repair, still has one moving forward.
Yeah, that's good news for him still. And it looks like it's just mostly rear end damage, which can cause drag. But I would rather have that than the front end damage that Tom Bourne unfortunately suffered. So, like I said, Tom Bourne, I think, took the worst end of that deal there with the front end. Hopefully he can get that thing to survive and limp to that lap 35 stage, would stay on that lead lap, and then he could possibly, you know, use that fast repair then. But right now, looking at that truck, it's definitely a hurt machine sitting on pit road. He may actually be sitting there for a while with how bad it is.
Most definitely. Space car lights still on, so we're going to be pacing for a little bit more. But right now, it's Mark Whitley, Dakota Moniz, Brandon Colley, Ryan Ferraro, Vincent Sora going to be your top 5 with Jonathan Freed, Danny Cochran, Status Sean Hutstutler, Ethan Smith, and Cody Reed finishing out your top 10. You know, we're talking about, you know, certain drivers like Danny Cochran came in with a lot of confidence. Another driver that felt extremely confident coming into tonight, who was not a playoff driver, Cody Reed in the 25. He's been a driver that I think a lot of these guys are recognizing, but feels like he got a chance, and everyone feels like they've got a chance to win here at Talladega.
Yeah, I've seen it circulating through, you know, the social medias here that he's pretty confident about the Talladega Superspeedway and his ability to get around this place. And like you said, a lot of people are, but it does take a different type of driver to get around here and do it well. I mean, that's why you see in the real racing here, it is, it's done by drivers multiple times, one at this track. So it's something you can replicate. It's harder to replicate than I say other tracks, but man, some drivers just really know the knack of working that air and working the draft. Looks like we got them all double filed back up. Pace car lights are out, and man, we're gonna go back green flag racing here to the lap 35 stage. And so far, from what I've seen, it is a lot of aggression and a lot of pushing and a lot of energy being shoved around here on the racetrack. I would not be surprised if we see another yellow before even that 35.
Absolutely not. The question is, where will the yellow or the driver that gets spun, where will it strike? Will it be up front once again or further back? Again, Mark Whitley, Dakota Moniz is going to be your front two, as with that of Brandon Colley, Ryan Ferraro, and Vincent Sora going to be your top five. Looking at, some of our front runners, look at playoff-wise, top three, where they run. First place is Mark Whitley. Second place of our playoff drivers running the third is that of Brandon Colley, then Vincent Sora in fifth. These playoff drivers, those three, they've kind of been the favorites coming into the playoffs. I'm wondering, will their luck continue on for these next two races? You've got today at Talladega and then Michigan next week. Two massive tracks where really sometimes your race could be finished and done. It's not even because of your fault.
Oh, no, for sure. I mean, Michigan, you can almost compare it to a super speedway style race. So it's going to be stacked up there. You ain't going to be able to get away from your competition very much there. So very similar to this place. It's two places where your fate could be decided by one mistake of another driver, since you're all the way stacked up on top of your competition. It just gets a lot more risky here when you're like this.
Well, it's time for us to try one more time again. It's your restart here for the Buddy Custom Baits Gone Fishing 200. It is the round of 8, race 1 of 2 for this round playoff racing. Mark Whitley on the loud pedal, but it's Dakota Moniz on the outside, who got a fabulous launcher himself, but it might have been a little bit too far. Ryan Ferraro was not close enough to really give him assistance as they head into turn number 1.
Yeah, assistance is what you need at Talladega. It looks like Brandon Colley is going to be the one to give it to the 77 as Moniz drops back with Ferraro on the back bumper here, so right on board that 12 machine there. Looks like Colley going to jump up to the top lane in front of the 5 of Moniz right here. And we're going to see if this top lane can get rolling here as we jump on board with Danny Cochran here, as you're going to see ahead of him his teammate Vincent Sora and Mark Whitley.
I mean, it's a bizarre sight to see at moments, but on the inside, your bottom 3, Mark Whitley, is leading this group, but then it's Vincent Sora and Danny Cochran, two drivers that have been rivals with the 77. They've had their differences, but this is what super speedway racing gives you, is sometimes you have to work with the villain or the rival of yourself before you can get yourself in a position to make the pass.
No, you definitely have to sometimes, bite the pride and just work with who you can here, and that's what Vincent Sora and Mark Whitley are doing. And they're two fast drivers, so they know how to work together, and usually the fast drivers are ones that hook up together and try to go forward. As Brandon Colley right here having the great push from Dakota Moniz, he's actually pulled a truck ahead. That outside line has so far shown a good bit of strength here early in the game.
As you see, bump drafting going on with Vincent Sora and the 77 almost phasing through and giving it a shot. And also, as you're right on the hood, you're facing backwards from the 15's point of view of Vincent Sora. You can see different drivers going up. That was Ethan Smith in the green, moving up, finding a hole, and making that push forward. And this is what super speedway racing gives you, is you cannot hesitate. When you see an opening, you've got to take it instantly, because if you make a hesitation move and you wait too long, you could be the reason for the big one striking.
Yeah, big one lurks around the corner here every moment around this 2.66 mile racetrack here. Mark Whitley, though, he's got the help of the 15, like you said, his rival. But they are doing a great job on the bottom to hang strong, as Brandon Colley with the help of Dakota Moniz being to pull forward. Also, you got Joshua Freed up there in the top side, 8th. He's the 4th car in line. Also, Sean Husteller, one of our playoff contenders. But it's interesting to see our top 4 playoff guys here coming in tonight, all of them located right here in the top 6.
And you can be notified of who those playoff drivers are by the yellow on their banner, on their spoiler. And that's how you know which driver is racing for a championship and who's not. And you can see up front, top three, those were continuing to race on. Kali, Whitley, Sora, all trying to charge forward with that of Danny Cochran. Also going to be third car in line racing for a championship. But now give you some other drivers we haven't talked about all night long. Sometimes qualifying isn't the most important thing. Into the top 10, the 0-1 of Eric Kralik, and also Carl Pooler, who started all the way back in last place, now up to 10.
Great run here from the 71 machine of Carl Pooler here to breaking up into the top 10. And like I said there, along with Eric Kralik there from 23rd to 8th. You got a lot of drivers moving up here and getting in positions here that they need to have for their season. This is a good momentum shift for a few drivers, even outside the playoffs. You know, you can end this season here on a good note, Sam, and very well ride into that next season with that same momentum, and it could propel yourself to possibly be in those playoffs when it comes around this same time next season.
Just hoping to get any type of gold they can get, and it's great to see these drivers moving along. What's interesting is over the driver's radio, a lot of communication with the drivers up front, trying to just figure out how they want to attack one another, what their plans are, how aggressive do they want to be setting up, because we're coming up to the end of the stage here in just a few moments as we take a look at where the 11 Forbes, excuse me, and also James Loveland, where they're running. These guys are back in 14th and 16th position in the middle of the pack. And sometimes the middle of the pack is your worst nightmare because you can't fully tell which lane is moving forward.
No, you definitely can't. You get in a situation where you're in the middle, and then you say, well, man, which lane do I need to go to? But you can't really see even that far forward. It's so tough to see. Again, the vision is so tough to have, and that is where even teammates and spotters can help. If you have teammates up there that tell you, hey, man, this line's starting to move up here a little bit, I'm seeing the action start to go forward, you can react off that, but sometimes, you know, that decision could be the wrong one, and you could be going backwards with your line. It really seems to shift back and forth. The top line gets a run, bottom line gets a run. And also another weird thing I've seen tonight, not a lot of heating up issues. I even talked to some of the drivers before the race, before the practice, they were surprised how long they could push before they even seen the issue with the temperatures raising. So right now the pushes are coming frequent and often, so that's why we're seeing a lot of side-by-side here, really close racing.
Yeah, and for the drivers that are up front, they can be aggressive. They can be pushing because they still have that fast repair. As we take a look at what the weather is like, very cool temperatures. 72 degrees is the track temp, but 66 is the ambient temperature and partly cloudy. As you can tell, it is dark gray on track as the cloud cover is going on. That means they are dealing with very cool temperatures. Zach, that means there's a ton of grip out there. Also, the wear and tear on the tires was already going to be very minimal, but it's now even less.
Oh, definitely less than for sure than what it would have been without this cloud coverage here and the cooler racing surface that we have here on this this Monday night here at the Talladega Super Speedway. It's, you know, you always talk about, you know, super speedway racing. You always talk about really just fuel mileage. But you don't talk about tires. Tires can be a factor here, man. You have a little bit more maneuverability with a set of tires, but tires also can be a factor with how long your pit stops take. I think later in the race, that is going to be one of those key things we see. How long do you have to take fuel? How many tires does that equate to? Is now Moniz and Kali, they jump down from that top line. Those two working together great now as Kali has a stranglehold on the lead, with Ferraro now leading that outside line.
Yeah, and that second car on the inside now, the 5 Dakota Moniz. I mean, it's now turned into a joke as you see the 77 moving up, but how much terrible luck the 5 has had all season long, trying to change it here late in the season, and hoping also that could translate over the Cup Series, as we saw the move, the 77 go to the high side through the backstretch, and now the leader of the outer groove, and watch out, Ryan Ferraro, he's going to give a huge push coming out of turn 4.
Big push, like you said there, from the 12 to the 77. We'll see how far they can propel themselves down here into one as they go through the tribal. So far, that run has not gone where they want. It looks like Ferraro hasn't been able to stay connected as Brandon Colley still with the lead, but Mark Willey ever so closely edging up to the back bumper of that one machine.
Rival got everyone kind of a little bit mixed up on where they wanted to be placed. As you see there, Sean Hutzstutler going to be stuck to the high line, 94. Going to be forced 3 wide, but luckily, here's the major difference between Super Speedway racing at Daytona and Talladega. you've got yourself practically an extra groove and lane to work with. So 3-wide racing, you've got plenty of space to do so.
Yeah, you got plenty of space here for sure, but if you're a playoff driver like Sean Hufsteller up there in that third lane, you know the risks of that lane. That lane is super fast. You can get big runs up there, but usually when a wreck happens, where does it go? It goes up the banking and up towards that wall. And that's what you see. It's happened just like that, and he is in the wall, Sam. Major incident there for him.
And just like that, Cody Dorsey, another incident where he makes contact with another driver, just making a misstep. And now this whole entire backpack full of damaged vehicles are going to be forced 3 wide, almost 4 wide at one moment. And just in a blink of an eye, one of our playoff drivers that needed a good race, Sean Hutsteller, now falling even back to 26th position. And with no yellow, he is desperate to make sure he does not go a lap down before the stage break.
Oh, and he definitely doesn't want to lose this draft here. It looks like all the momentum loss and how much heavy damage he has on that truck, it's going to be slowing those trucks down. And Sam, this is unfortunate for Hustel. He wants to just try to survive here and get to that lap 35 stage. He's going to need to. Here comes Morales trying to make the move on Dorsey, who looks like he was trying to get out the way, but Morales was trying to go around him, and that could have been detrimental there too. Is now Dorsey dropping back. Also, it's Hustel. He's going to be hitting pit road. This is an interesting scenario. He must have major damage and have to be getting it fixed already.
Yeah, and this is a worst case scenario because there's already a driver a lap down, being Tom Bourne, who did not use did use a fast repair, but then was left on his lonesome when he had to come into pit road. So right now, the leader is about to be putting down another lap on Tom Bourne, which that's going to be okay for Sean Hutstettler as long as he does not get passed by Tom Bourne 2 laps in a row. But we see this lead pack and where they're running currently, the 51. We right on board with Max Foner, who was in 17th place and doing the single file strat, just staying in line, not trying to get himself into any type of issues. But man, does that change a lot of factors for our playoff drivers, because now that's one of your competitors having an off day. We'll see if he can come back for Sean Hutsteller, because he had to use the fast repair, hoping that when he goes a lap down, he's the only driver 1 lap down, so then he can stay on the lead lap.
Well, and he went above the yellow line there, Sam, on the exit pit road. I don't know if it's going to trigger a penalty there for him, but he was a whole tire width over that yellow line on the exit. I think that's going to trigger a penalty for him. We'll see as the pack roars by. One mistake I think he made, he took tires. He didn't get the tires. The pit crew did. They put fuel and tires in the truck and wasted a lot of time there that he could have been way farther out ahead of his pack and possibly stayed 1 lap down. Now he's going to have issues. He's got to stay on the apron around 3 and 4. And yeah, just big issues for Sean Hufsteller. One of our final 4 Cup contenders from the Cup season. He is in the trucks though right here. This is going bad to worse. As like I said, I think he went above that line, and yes, he did. He's coming back down the pit road.
When it rains, it pours. Don't get another penalty for the 94 he's hoping for. And oh boy, that is just a worst case scenario for that team. Again, with it being 2 races per round, if you make one mistake like we just saw from Hutstettler, it could be costly and putting you in a must-win scenario going into next week. But up front, we watch our lead pack, and what a run by that of Ryan Ferraro and that of Mark Whitley on the outside. The 77 gets the surge, but not far enough to come drop down for the lead.
You know these playoff guys want those points, Sam. Top 5 here rewarding those points. Those 5 bonus points for winning this thing could be critical for Brandon Colley and Mark Whitley's chance here to hold on if they have any mistakes here later in the race or at Michigan.
We've seen these drivers be extremely quick all night long, and they're going to be doing their best as we're coming to the end dash here of the end of the stage. And take a look, and we go down pit side. That of Brian Johnson, our pit reporter. Brian, what do you got for us?
Well, during that last caution a little bit ago, I did get a chance to talk with Max Motorsports, which is going to consist of Brandon Colley in the 1, Max Foner in the 51, and Thomas Walter in the 57. And that team kind of split on strategies. Brandon Colley looking to be aggressive, as you can see him on the in the lead of that bottom lane right there. Max Foner and Thomas Walter looking to stay a little bit more conservative, playing it safe. But they did tell me that once it gets to be about 10 to go, that's going to be when they hit that big red button and start to go. And if they can't win it for themselves, going to try to push Brandon Colley to the win. And then I've just been during this run kind of looking at our playoff standings and looking at who's led a lap at this point. And right now is from what I can tell, playoff drivers that have led a lap is Brandon Colley, Mark Whitney, and Vincent Sora. So that's you can that extra bonus point for them is going to be really good. And then as we come to the end of the stage here, these stage points very critical. And then unfortunately for Sean Huffstutler there, we saw him get into the wall. So next week gonna have to bounce back and try to gain some of these points that he's lost today.
Yeah, that's going to be the big thing for a lot of these drivers is get points and try to rebound. Thanks, Brian, for being our pit reporter and getting us that information. As up front, it's that of Brandon Colley. But Zach, while Brian was talking, it got very hairy up front. I thought we were about to see 3 wide action for a moment. Then we thought we were about to see a wreck. It got very squirrely as we're coming to the final 5 laps of our first stage.
Yeah, it definitely did there, Sam. You see Mark Whitley get out into the lead there, a couple car lengths ahead on the outside line, and look, he was going to go to the bottom. Then he said, I'm a little undecisive. Maybe I want this outside lane for coming down to the end of this, and he jumped back up in front of the 12, and that gave the bottom lane a big run as that outside lane checked up. But again, the outside lane, it's looking pretty strong when it comes to that start-finish line, especially. It's going to be closer as finishes. Oh, they're weaving big time back there with Ethan Smith in the 11 of John Forbes.
They are going to be trying to figure out where they want to place because you're following the driver ahead of you. If the 6 drivers ahead makes a slight move, everyone else is trying to follow, and it just makes that weaving action so much larger as you go through the field. And that outside line almost all got wiped out in an instant. But this is when things get interesting because, Zach, we're starting to see drivers pick and choose where they want to be placing themselves. And you see on the inside, the 2 dumping that of Joshua Freed and saying, you know what? I'm not going to follow you. You can go to that high line and drop backwards.
It did. It jumped right back into that middle lane there. And now the 8 going to be without a shot here to be able to battle unless someone can jump up with here. I expect it almost here at some point. Somebody's coming here. As you can see, that 3rd lane starting to fill up. I believe that's Carl Poole. Or no, sorry, it isn't. I believe that may be Gregory Shaw in the 66 up there.
Gregory Shaw, Ethan Smith, others trying to bump off one another. Very scary situation there for Joshua Freed as he almost got wiped out by the 00. But I got to say, if anyone's going to go to the outside line, I'm not surprised that it's Gregory Shaw, Mr. Aggressive. He is going to do everything in his power to get that outside line moving. And Ethan Smith, he's being so indecisive that it's kind of bogging down. I know it's just 2 trucks on the outside, but that weaving action in and out from the 00 has really stalled out these drivers from really wanting to even attempt to go forward.
Yeah, I tell you what, Sam, I think if a few trucks pull out in front of them, it will go forward here. As you can see, they're holding their own there, even on the outside here. But what it will do, if they do jump up there, it's going to make that outside line deteriorate behind Mark Whitley and Ryan Ferraro. That's where the issue's coming. Here it is. Big move from Ethan Smith and the 00, along with the 11 of Forbes. They're all going to the 3rd lane here. They left it open. Cody Reed goes to the middle.
And now that whole entire middle lane, it just got dispersed. It went from having about 5 drivers in line to 7, now down to just 4, but 3 of them are together. Cody Reed, you see the giant gap. That space is what's slowing down this middle group, and it could be hurting them on the straightaway speed as you see Smith trying to get some runs. Whitley and oh no, Ferraro, contact, and there they go, bouncing off one another. Moniz goes spinning, and with this wreck, that will end stage 1, and a bunch of playoff drivers involved with this one.
Yeah, right there, it looks like Mark Whitley with the jump down to the bottom lane, and Ferraro there just not paying attention as much probably, and just slides down into Brandon Colley there to follow that 77 and have that car, the 1 there on the inside. And it's easy to do to follow that guy you're drafting off of, but that's just a mental error there, I think.
Loveland got major front end damage. Vincent Sora got clipped. Danny Cochran got clipped in that as well as Brandon Colley. And those little delayed moves, as we're going to see here on our instant replay, Mark Whitley came down, and I don't think Ryan Ferraro understood that there was no space for him to come down and gets into the 1, and that's the catalyst that started that whole 3rd chain reaction. That just, right here, we're going to see on the replay, 77 drops down, the 12 tries to follow, and just goes right down into the 1.
Yeah, I see this common thing happen a lot of times. The driver up in front of you are trying to follow their draft. When they're dropping down, a driver will follow them, even though, there is a car low, and that causes a major incident there. One driver involved in that was pretty majorly involved was Vincent Soar in the 15. He helped Moniz go around there, and he got some nose damage. So some playoff contenders, Danny Cochran there taking some heavy hits there too, also the 2. So Ethan Smith also, no, sorry, not Ethan Smith, no damage there for him, but yeah, multiple playoff guys there involved in that one there.
I believe also, front end damage for James Loveland as well. So they're going to need some repairs, and we're going to take a small break. Stage 1 concluded. Those top 5 getting bonus points: Mark Whitley, Ethan Smith, Brandon Colley, John Forbes, and Joshua Freed, all going to get stage points here. For Mark Whitley, Ethan Smith, Brandon Colley, they get the most bonus points. Only top 5 gets so. And just missing out was Danny Cochran. We'll step away for a quick moment. When we come back, we'll talk about pit stops, where drivers are at after they're done. And we will be back here in just a few for the Buddy Custom Baits Gone Fishing 200 in just a few moments. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's the NAISCC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series playoff racing action, race 1 of the round of 8 for that of the Buddy Custom Bait Gone Fishing 200. As we are here at Talladega, my name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall. Also, our pit reporter being Brian Johnson and our producer being Robert Moyer Jr. Thank you for joining us here tonight. Monday night playoff racing action. Stage 1 is concluded. Mark Whitley was up front who got the stage win. We'll see now. How can they race it to the end? There's no more stage breaks. It's all about getting the win. We've seen plenty of cautions. We'll see if we get another one. As the pace car rolls off, they roll it through the tri-oval, waiting as long as they have to until they get the green. And finally, through the middle of the tri-oval, it's Mark Whitley, John Forbes, Ethan Smith, Danny Cochran, that of Joshua Freed. Gonna be your top 5, and we are green as they're heading down into turn number 1.
Well, I'll tell you what here, this is the start to the end of this race here now, and it is getting interesting, Sam, with how that wreck happened there at the beginning here. A lot of guys that were playoff contenders using fast repairs on that last stop. They got to be worried if they're sitting in their seats right now. It's going to get tough here in these final portions of the race.
Absolutely. We've seen the speed from the 2 of Danny Cochran and the 15, that of Vincent Sora. They're going to be having to worry about not having the safety net no more. And Zach, with no surprise, with more than half the drivers already using their fast repairs, everyone ducking in line, trying to get in single file early on.
Yeah, that is definitely one of the most interesting things I've seen with a truck race. That first line coming out of 2, mostly everybody on the inside line, but look at that, the 00 Ethan Smith and the 11 John Forbes, they say we're going up, and they were, I don't think, clear of the 2, and Danny Cochran makes the good move to move himself up the racetrack there. Luckily, it's going to get him cut out the dry there on that top line, but man, that just showed everybody holding on the bottom line. They jump up top and immediately gain positions for the 21 and the 25 there, Cody Reed and the 21 of Kyle Rochelle.
And Zach, I got to say, I'm very concerned for Danny Cochran. He had already used his fast repair for the 2, and he already has nose damage that he's dealing with. So the 2, he's going to be trying to limp, and he has to follow the drivers ahead of him, as already we've seen on our ticker, going to be cleaned up as we are green. Drivers got to be worried about Danny Cochran for sure. That nose damage is going to be hurting him. He might not have a chance to balance. Oh no, there goes the 47, taking out Vincent Sora, and the big one, car's flipping on the backstretch.
And remember, Vincent Sora used this fast repair. The engine is blown on that 15. Our championship leader coming in here tonight could be looking for a way to rebound next week if he wants to get through.
What happened to John McAdams? Because something had to break on the 47, because he just ducked down. Either something broke, or he said, you know what, Vincent Sora, your race is done. Because that was a wild wreck by the 47 and what happened there.
Sam, you definitely took the words out of my mouth there, man. I don't know what to explain that there. That is a interesting scenario. It does like just something broke. It just shot left, and that's something you normally don't see.
No, we're waiting for the instant replay to go in. But if we, this is, you see Vincent Sora, he's flying in the air. His race is done after this one. Again, majority of the drivers in the back half of this field had already used their fast repair, so their race might be done. But if we could get a ride along with the 47, what happens? This looks a little controversial from my point of view.
Yeah, it's. I watched it on board too, Sam, and just dead left crank of the wheel, and I don't know if something broke, but it seemed like he could drive fine after the incident there. But we're going to ride on board here and look exactly what happened from the eyes on board from John McAdams, and
This does not look good. John McAdams might be parked for the rest of the season with this incident. He just pulls down and just then takes it out and wipes out the 15. And this does not look good for the 47. I mean, that is a blatant wipeout and taking out playoff drivers, getting more drivers involved. And we're riding on board with Vincent Sora and just seeing him soaring. And there's not much else that you can do helpless when you get involved in a wreck like that.
Yeah, there's no way to explain that one, man. Definitely John McAdams got to do a lot of explaining himself for that. From the booth here, that it's it can only look one way really. So there's going to be not a lot of happy drivers about that. And Vincent Sora, man, this is going to put him in a tough spot, Sam. He's right now in 25th here, but you got Cody Dorsey who's really hurt on pit road. Also, but Tom Bourne 2 laps down. Looks like he'll get by. Sean Hustler is still sitting on pit road. They do have Alexander Light out, but man, you're looking at maybe a top 25 if hopeful. I don't even know if that's going to happen. That's a big rebound and a lot of points lost here for that 15.
Yeah, for the 15 and for the 94, both heavily damaged in this one, and both had already used their fast repairs. They're going to need a lot of cautions to come out to try to get back out on track and try to just salvage any points possible. But this, one of our heavy favorites, the race for a championship, is now going to be in a lot of issues. As we talked about it, you need to be consistent and do well. And for this first race of the round of 8, with there only being one more race after this, got to be perfect. And Vincent Sora could be placed, same as Sean Hutzler, in a must-win scenario with the amount of drivers that show up week in and week out. This is a giant hole to try to get out of.
Well, Sam, I tell you, that's 2 drivers that could possibly do it, though. That they can definitely go to Michigan. I can see both of them going there, getting a victory. I mean, we've seen Vincent Sora pull off multiple victories this season and really comeback scenarios. So we can see him do it. And Sean Hustler, we know how strong he is, make it to the Final Four there in the Cup Series. Anything is still left for them. They can try to get that win, but it may be a tall task for points. The thing Vincent Sora has on his side, he did start 8 above that cut line. But, man, this is going to be a big loss because he got no stage points also. He's going to have to try to get back out there and maybe hope for some positions if a few guys wreck out this race.
Well, controversy under this yellow that comes out from 41 laps in, about to be 42, coming across the line. And I don't think we have anyone doing race control. So there's no one that really can go back and park the 47. He's still going to be out there on track, which has got to be putting a lot of worrisome for any other playoff drivers that have already used their fast repair if they're going to be around the 47 of John McAdams. As from our point of view, a dirty move by the 47 to take out Vincent Sora and many other drivers here, as we are now past halfway. This is your buddy Custom Bates Gone Fishing 200, first race of the round of 8 for playoff racing action, and controversy already shrouding over tonight. But where the drivers lie currently right now, it's going to be that of John Forbes, Ethan Smith, Cody Reed, Kyle Rochelle, Jonathan Freed, James James Loveland, as well as those are the drivers in the top 6, with Danny Cochran, Gregory Shaw, Tyler Dangler, and John McAdams is going to be your top 10. As the drivers see the lights off, we're going to be taking off here. Zach, this now, it's going to put a bad taste in our mouth moving forward throughout the night, but there's still a lot of racing to go.
Yeah, Sam, that right there has changed the whole perspective of these playoffs here. That shows you, but the way this style format is, you're never safe. You're never can be comfortable unless you got that win to lock yourself in, or it's that last race where you got the win to make yourself the champion. The only thing that can guarantee you something in this business of racing right now in this style is getting that victory. And it looks like, unfortunately, a few guys going to be taken out here early that have playoff contentions in their mind. They're going to have to be looking to bounce back next week with a victory with their backs against the wall. That's going to be a tough spot. I mean, we could also see more guys wreck out of this, so it could change up here with the playoff standings. We still got a good ways to go, but it just shows you're never safe if you're the 15 of Vincent Sora there leading the points.
Absolutely not. Now another driver going to be going into the DNF. Cody Dorsey has parked it officially for the 9. And now it's going to be Ethan Smith, John Forbes, Cody Reed, Kyle Rochelle, Jonathan Freed going to be your top 5. Getting ready to go green here. Pace car pulls off as we're going to come to the start of lap 43 for the Buddy Custom Bates Gone Fishing 200. Who will get caught up in the next one, or can we race it green to the end? As the pace car is already off or past the tri-oval, and we are green, already seeing lane changes as the 11 comes down and getting in line. Before we cross the line, we'll see if anything gets placed on the 11 of John Forbes for that type of a move. But already, ton of spacing, Zach. This is an interesting restart. No one's really on top of one another.
Yeah, no one really are on top of each other. And yeah, that's going to be interesting there with the Colin Forbes. I definitely changed the lanes there before the start, jumping down. But here comes the 56 with a good push from Danny Cochran. And the 21 jumps up, and they go to block up front with Forbes. And then, man, these blocks are dangerous this early in the go. And I understand people want to block. They watch it on TV and stuff. But, man, it's just different on iRacing.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, when you're seeing real light blocking, you've got spotters that are telling you exactly and how precise everything is. When you're here racing virtually, it's just you in the car and you're hoping that you're clear. Kyle Rochelle coming on the outside. No fast repairs left for the 121, but doesn't mean it can't race hard up front. James Loveland, who was also involved in a wreck earlier, now going to be pushing on the outside. Ethan Smith, John Forbes, the whole entire front package of where the drivers lie is completely changed. And here they go, going through 1 and 2.
Yeah, definitely getting aggressive, and we've already seen multiple incidents with playoff drivers involved in them. If you're a playoff contender, like looking right here at Brandon Colley, who's seen what happened to the 15 of Vincent Sawyer, you know things like that got to make you nervous. Is he almost jumps up to the outside wall in the back straightaway as he's dropping back. So right here, calamity happened is up front. James Loveland, he gets left out of drive by the 2. The 21 drops down. They're getting crazy up here.
I don't think that it's because they feel like, hey, we're being pushed out forcibly. I think it's more so of a decision. Brandon Colley falling back. You might be wondering, what happened to Mark Whitley? He was not even involved in those wrecks. He has decided to drop all the way back to 20th position, completely out of the danger zone. And I think that's where a lot of these drivers that have been up front early in this race, they don't want to be involved in any more wrecks. So they're falling back to find some friends that they know they can work with to go forward later on.
I love this call from Mark Whitley. What a great A call there from his team and his decision-making there from the pool himself. Out of the front of that pack there, put himself back here. Because remember, he got those 5 bonus points and the 1 bonus point also for leading a lap. So he's got 6 bonus points to his name already in this race. He can afford to drop back here and ride it out because he's got a fast repair to save too. Just an excellent call here, Sam, I think.
Absolutely brilliant call by these drivers. Falling back, also Brandon Colley falling back already, leaving us up front of our playoff drivers, Danny Cochran, Ethan Smith, John Forbes, and James Loveland, all in this front 10. And then they got to be careful because on the inside, moving up, we've already seen him be a weapon already tonight. We'll see if he purposely wrecks another driver. John McAdams in 9th place on the inside. It is dangerous up front. You might see another wreck up front in the way these drivers are running, as you see everyone else just waiting and looming. Thomas Walter is another driver to watch out for, and we haven't touched on much of the Limitless drivers that much, but there's that of Norris running back here as well.
Yeah, this is Norris back here. They told Brian over the race they just kind of want to ride it out, stay back here, stay in position to have a chance at the end, because you got to remember we got $50 on the line, so a lot of guys trying to have a chance to get that victory here. And I like what Limitless has done today. They haven't really been involved in really anything other, than Alexander Light getting taken out early in this thing. But man, Limitless has done a good job here tonight. Keep their noses clean and run right around the area where they can stay safe.
And staying safe is such a smart move to make for himself. Carl Pooler, one of our bigger movers of the night, up 18 positions. Biggest mover so far of all the drivers, that being Kyle Rochelle, up 23 positions as he's leading currently. And then you also see some other drivers. Gregory Shull, Mr. Aggressive, but he's going to need a partner for sure if he wants to be extremely aggressive here tonight. But being up front in the top 5, the 66 loves where he's at currently.
Yeah, he's the one that's done the opposite for sure to get himself up into position here in the 2nd spot. And he's right behind the 2 of Danny Cochran, who, we talked about, he's got major nose damage. So I think that's where you see this outside line kind of just hang there in the outside lane. They're not really going forward like we've seen until now. Big pushes coming from behind. That's just showing the 2. Even with the damage, he's still got some decent speed. If there was a different truck out there, though, I would expect it to be a lot faster, though, because that damage is a lot.
Yeah, and I think also for the 2, and the reason why we're not seeing this outside line want to get very aggressive is because there is a blinking issue for Danny Cochran. He's having some internet issues here tonight trying to stay connected with the server. That's why I think a lot of the drivers on the outside being very patient, not really want to get too aggressive or even bumping the 2 because they don't know when he's going to disappear and reappear in front of them.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest things to do when you got network issues going on here. It gets really, really sketchy, and I even did some laps around Danny today, and it was kind of worrisome riding around him. He had these issues early in the day too, so he's been trying to iron them out. Luckily, it doesn't seem as bad as what I seen earlier. It just seems to come and go type of issue here as he continues to lead that outside line. And man, we're just seeing a different thing here. You're seeing a whole group of drivers, about 12 of them here, really battle hard, while the rest of the guys from 13 on back there saying, yeah, we'll sit here and watch you guys duke it out while we try to get to the end of this race.
Well, another thing to be watching out for these drivers that are up front being so aggressive is fuel. When the drivers all came into pit road, even on this most recent caution, they were not going to have enough fuel to make it to the end. They're still going to need either to come into pit road here late and do a splash and go, or bank on another yellow to come out. So there's still a lot of patience to do as we ride on board with the 0-1 of Aaron Kralik, who's back in 16th position, and getting a sense of kind of the waiting period for these drivers. Still within the draft, can easily, go full throttle and catch up to the driver in front of them, or just wait, give each other space so you have time to avoid just in a moment if our top 12 decide to wreck each other.
Yeah, it gives you the time. It definitely does. The more time you have in a play track to react, it helps so much. I mean, you can be this far back and still be involved in it. And, there's also things you can do as the driver. We have brake bias for adjustments. So one thing I used to love to do was dial as much rear brake into the car, really, to help me get slowed, or actually, sorry, not rear brake, front brake, to help the stopping power of the car. It's easy to lock the fronts up, but if you got on the brake, it would make the car stop a lot better. So we dial some front braking if you're riding back there to try to make sure you can stop in time if there is an incident. And these drivers back here definitely, they're playing the waiting game. And I like that strategy. It's a lot of playoff guys back here, and this is the thing I would be doing if I was in their position.
An absolute classy move by Sean Hudstetler. Goes to the apron, lets our leaders drive on by so they can race as hard as they want. Now, Danny Cocker going to be able to drop down low just in front of Brandon Colley. That of Kyle Rochelle, excuse me. And Rochelle doing a great job, but he is now right on the back bumper of the two up front. And Gregory Shaw freed. They're starting to wiggle on the outside. Our front two on the outside. That is not a safe combination with the way they were bumping going through turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, the wiggles is the way to put it for sure. They were going back and forth, left and right, and that's when you see scary moments happening. Man, the 8 just shoving the 66 here. This could turn into something here as they work that outer groove. It has kind of deteriorated outside since Danny Cochran has jumped down to that bottom lane. But remember, Danny Cochran has the damage. Now they have a clean nose out on top of that outside lane. I think you get a few trucks up there. That outside lane going to definitely be looking pretty spiffy.
Well, here's the thing that we always talk about with super speedway racing. Yes, patience, aggressiveness, but stabilizing and staying as stable and as steady as possible. That's another factor, and that's something I'm not seeing from those top two drivers on the outside. There's a lot of wiggling going on, which is scrubbing away speed. And while the exit of the corners, they have not been able to really stay side by side with the front runners.
No, you're exactly right, Sam. Any movement left or right is scrubbing speed. It's friction. It does heat up here down the back straightaway. They got Loveland to help a little bit, but getting freed though, all left, right, back and forward here on the back bumper. That gets a little bit dicey as they head down to the corners. Got to have a little bit of separation so it causes no incident here. But yeah, that dicing left to right there is just going to scrub speed, not only but also be a detriment to the speed overall of the truck ahead of you. So man, you got to be careful, and especially not expend them here in the tribal like we seen earlier with the one of Brandon Colley.
You're hoping not to be involved in any more wrecks. What's crazy to see is you're seeing side-by-side racing all the way from that of first back to 8th place, and then all the way back to that of 24th. Actually, there's technically 25 drivers still in line, but from first all the way back to that of 24th, it is a 3-second gap, and all these drivers, yes, they're that far back, but they are still in the draft and still have an opportunity to race up front.
Yeah, I think a lot of these drivers, like we said, they're just content with riding at the moment. We are not even at 20 to go yet. We're nearing that point. But, man, you can really wait to 10 to go with this package and still be able to have a chance to make a move. So I think you're going to see some big moves being made if we continue green here. But at some point, I'm really thinking they're going to have to probably hit pit road, I think.
Yeah, pit road's going to be something to really pick and choose when you want to come in, because there is always the strategy coming in with teammates or other drivers you trust and just split the stint in half. Make sure you've got enough fuel for if we go into overtime, or you stretch it as far as you can go and then just top off, trying to put less fuel into your car and into your truck and hope that you have a great pit stop. But either one, we're expecting all these drivers still to have to come to pit road before this race is over. And oh boy, they're scattering up front. A little bit of miscommunication and contact there. And it's going to be that Gregory Shaw stuck in the middle, going backwards, but freed. And when there's only 3 cars in line, they finally get grouped up. But that was a very sketchy situation going into turn 3.
Man, oh man, Sam, that could have been so devastating for this pack here as Danny Cochran there gets even a little bit more damage on the left front, or yeah, on the right front of the nose there. As Gregory Shaw, I think he thought he was clear. He wanted to pull down in front of the 20, the 2 machine there and just could not get clear there. And that almost sent those two into a chain reaction event. Now looking at this pack here, man, this is a truck race. This one's starting to look like a little bit of a cup race. I think pit stops are looming here, especially with how they're lining up.
I mean, they're lining up, but I think it's more so of, yes, preparing for pit stops, but also I think it's just recognizing the drivers that are up front have known to be very aggressive and willing to wreck each other, and drivers that we have not seen up front in a while, such as Gregory Shaw, Joshua Freed. These are two drivers that when they've been up front, it has been almost a looming wait to see if they're going to take each other out, if they're going to take someone else out with their aggression. And now we wait to see who else might be the next on that list. I mean, we can add now John McAdams onto the list of who knows what's going to happen with the 47, because we've already seen John McAdams purposely wreck one of our playoff drivers, of Vincent Sora. Will he do that to another driver here tonight? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, man, definitely a lot looms on the heads of these drivers here right now as we're just past 20 to go, man. I tell you what, Danny Cochran, he's got to be feeling good even with damage, being able to lead out front of this race. His question's got to be, does he take the fast repair when he comes down, or does he lead it? I mean, he's leading the race, but you want to have the fastest, race truck possible to get down to the end of the race to win this thing. It's such a risk for him, though, with the playoffs looming and also the $50 online for a win. Man, there's many questions to be asked to these drivers as they continue to make laps. I think we're going to possibly see him hit pit road possibly late as possible, take at least amount of fuel as they need, and no tires possibly, or even 2.
Well, if they're going to go as late as possible, that means around lap 68 to lap 70 is going to be that window for most of these drivers, which that's going to be about anywhere from 8 to 5 laps to go in this race. They cannot make any mistakes at all, and it certainly is going to be something for a lot of these drivers. They've got to make sure they come in as a group and they don't make any mistakes. And as we're talking about pit roads and pit stops getting started, we go down to pit road, get our pit road reporter, Brian Johnson, as these drivers going 3 wide for the lead, and they're hoping that they don't make any wreck. But Brian, I would imagine it is hectic down on the radio.
Yeah, pit stop's gonna be underway here shortly, but just gotta point out, we've had a lot of playoff implications here in the later stages of the race here, but these last 20 laps, this is when every decision that you make really, really matters. It can set you up for a good finish here at the end. This is where the chess match begins, and some of the moves that some of these guys out here have made that have worked so far is that of Max Motorsports. Their plan, their strategy kind of working right now, staying at the back, staying out of trouble. Their trucks are clean. Brandon Colley, a little bit of right front damage, but not too bad. So I would be looking to see these guys, kind of implement their plan. They tend to go, hit that button and head towards the front here. Just got to keep doing what Brandon Colley mentioned to me earlier. He said they're out there dodging bullets.
Yeah, I would imagine they are. Ryan, I'm wondering if you could go down and maybe talk to Vincent Sora, get his point of view of what happened with him being wrecked by John McAdams or any other drivers on their point of view through these wrecks. But thank you for being our pit reporter for tonight, Zach. We've been seeing a lot of shuffling. Gregory Shaw, Freed, they've finally been able to get up front and be our lead 2 drivers.
It's all single filed out now with Gregory Shaw jumping down with Joshua Freed. James Loveland's able to jump down there in the 4th position behind Kyle Rochelle. Danny Cochran back to 5th. It's a single file line of trucks here. And this is something, if you told me coming in here tonight, I'd be a little bit surprised by this. This is definitely showing me that these guys have something planned out in their mind. They're trying to execute that plan. And right now they know, right now we're making laps. You cannot win this race here on lap 59. And you won't win the race on lap 60. So, man, you got to be able to plan it out for 75. And I think that's what everybody's big picture here in their mind is getting to that number.
If you have not seen what a super speedway pit stop is like, it is incredible. You can have anywhere from up to just one driver, up to anywhere from 20 to just 15 coming at once. But when you got these large groups that come together, Zach, it is chaos. Everyone's fanning out, trying to give each other as much space as possible. But I think we're about to see a very chaotic pit stop with the way that everyone's starting to single file up and getting ready to come in.
Yeah, I think everybody is definitely about to be hitting that pit road access road here at any moment. We'll see who are the first takers, and this is a critical phase here, man. This is where you can lose this race. This is where you can win this race, is right here on this pit road entry and exit. As we'll see, no takers this time, as maybe if one looks to duck off, but no, he pulls back online. So it's the key, though. You can't come down by yourself, and you actually don't want to come down with too many trucks. If you can get a perfect group of around 5 or 6 trucks, it's a way better time getting down the pit road because it's not as clustered. You have room to brake at your own pace and make sure you don't speed or get any type of incident.
Yeah, and I think for Shaw and Freed, there has to be communication. You cannot be riding on someone's bumper like this, coming out of the corner and coming into pit road, because this is a good showing of how to bump track properly, but also a great way to wreck somebody if you're both coming into pit road being this close.
Yeah, this is it gets tough here in these situations where you want to come to pit road. You want to stay as close as possible here so you're making as much time. But when we come down here, guys got to give each other room. If they don't give each other the room they need here to get to pit road, we're going to see some major incidents happen. And, with the amount of trucks we have here tonight, 24 of them, man, it's going to be tough getting here on pit road with 24 trucks all lined up like this here. And everybody not having some type of incident. So I'm sure some type of calamity will happen. Where it will be, we'll have to see.
First, all the way back to 24th, 4.5 seconds is the difference, but they are all still attached to the draft and all still single filed out. Tom Bourne, first car lap down. If a caution comes out and he's not involved, he'll get the lucky dog spot. Sean Hutzstutler was involved in a wreck earlier, was taken out by Cody Dorsey, and now finds himself being 8 laps down, but on track, at least being able to pass that of Vincent Sora. Sora's still in pit road for over 22 minutes and is still trying to hope that that engine can get repaired and get back out on track, but it's gotten to the point where he's so many laps down, he will not even be able to gain any positions on the drivers ahead of him. So his day is done. 27th will be the position for Vincent Sora, who needed to have a good day. And this has got to be feeling demoralizing with the driver that came in as our points leader into tonight. Could be a driver outside looking in going into Michigan next week. We're still waiting for when the driver's going to come into pit road, Zach, and the laps continue to tick away. We're coming up to 10 laps to go here in just 2 laps.
It's clicking away here, Sam, and I'm starting to figure out now what's going on out here. We actually have some fuel mileage strategy going on here with these guys. Some of these drivers out here, from what I'm hearing, 2 laps to 1 lap short here, possibly at this point of the run. They still have those 12 laps left. That's going to be, if you're 2 laps short, you're not saving that much here at the end. But, man, if you feel like you're only 1 lap short, we may see some drivers try to stretch it to that 75 point. That's why I think you're seeing everybody here in the single file line. They are all saving fuel. And that's why you've seen some of the guys from the very start, like Mark Whitley, drop to the back of the pack. Brandon Collett, they all knew it was right on the edge of the window with the way the caution played out there for that last caution. And, man, these drivers out here trying to stretch it here. And what I hear is at least Aaron Kralick's side of the point of view in the 01, he's about 1.1 gallons short. That's about 2 laps only. So we'll see if they can do it. But, man, 2 laps is a long way around this place, 5 miles.
It is a lot, and that's why we're wondering who and if someone can stretch it. Is it even worth risking trying to stretch it that far, or should you just come into pit road? It is certainly going to be a lot for these drivers to worry about, because I know for Gregory Shaw, Freed, and everyone that's in our front 9, they're going to be thinking about pit road, and here they come. Already a pack coming into pit road. 6 drivers come in, and already mistakes. Danny Cochran goes off into the grass. Issues for the 2 machine.
Yeah, major issues there for the 2 machine. He's actually going to completely miss pit road. He's going to have to come back around. He's going to have a penalty, and that's just going to stack up here on his detriment of this race, man. And just, that is a tough thing. And as like I said, you can win and lose this race. He just lost it here on pit road.
came in as a group of 6. Tyler Dangler's going to be missing his pit box. He's not going to be with this group once they get moving. And already 3 of the drivers, Ethan Smith, Cody Reed, John Forbes, they're able to get moving along. But John McAdams that's supposed to be with this group, he might be too far back. It might just be a 3-horse pack from those 6 that originally came in.
Yeah, it looks like it is going to be just a 3-pack there as we look back up here to the lead group. When are they going to pull off here? It's under 10 laps to go here as they cross the start-finish line. Man, Sam, can anybody save enough? That is going to be the big question. You only got to save enough to get around here for 10 more laps. It's going to be a tough call for a lot of drivers.
That it certainly is going to be. Gregory Shaw, Joshua Freed, Kyle Rochelle, James Loveland, Carl Pooler are going to be your top 5. Ryan Ferraro, Dakota Moniz, that of Trevor Earhart, that of also Christopher Norris, and Eric Kralik going to be your top 10. And then there is quite a good distance as Brandon Colley's also on the tail end of this lead pack by over 1.5 seconds. Back in 12th, it's Mark Morales, as well as Thomas Green, Mark Whitley, and many others that are lingering with this second group. They're too far back really from the draft. They've got to get moving, and here comes that lead group. They're splitting up. They're coming into pit road.
Everybody coming down from that lead group there, and oh man, almost major instance. Brandon Colley misses there, and the one is I'm not sure who had that slide through there. Looks like a Toyota there as they came down pit road, but a major incident almost there is, like I said, it's calamity getting on the pit road here. It's so tough to do, but man, looking at where some of these drivers last hit pit road, Sam, Mark Whitley, that group there on pit road last time, lap 42. And that is going to be an interesting predicament if they can make it to 75, and what a call it would be by them to top off.
Went back, re-looked at it. That was actually Christopher Norris that locked up, linked for a second, so no one knew where exactly the 38 was until they came across the pit entry line. So very scary situation. Danny Cochran also comes into pit road after missing his pit box. He'll be coming by himself. Now comes the 21 and also the 56. It's just going to be a two cars coming to pit road this time. Can't make any mistakes for themselves, and luckily come in cleanly.
Yeah, they're all going to come in nice and clean here, luckily for their sake. And I'm just looking at Martin Morales Jr. He comes down to 24. Also, he did not top off at 42. So I'm seeing which trucks were the ones that really planned this out, as now Carl Pooler has the lead. You know, I'm thinking that group with Mark Whitley, Thomas Green, I'm unsure if he was on top off there on pit road. It doesn't look like he topped off either. So Mark Whitley, I think he's got to be feeling pretty good there, along with Jonathan Smith, I believe.
Yeah, for the 77, 32, the 20, the 51, and the 57. All those drivers came in, topped off in the very last lap that they could before going back to green on our last caution. And right now, placing themselves in a very good spot where they've decided to just hold back, save ground. We'll see if they want to come to pit road, but our top 3, Carl Pooler, Ryan Ferraro, Dakota Moniz, they're going to be about 2 laps shy, but we'll see how far they can really try to stay out there, and can they save enough fuel to make it to the end.
That's going to be the question for sure. This group of 3 here, if they are, this group of 3 here with a, looks like the lap car, maybe even Danny Cochran there on the back of him there. So, yeah, after his incident there, he gets back on track, 24th, 1 lap down. So, right here behind the leaders is Danny Cochran now in that 2 machine. It looks like they also get Tyler Dingler in the 19 there also. So, looks like they're going to go to the outside here and try to fight with the leaders.
Issues for one of our playoff drivers, James Loveland. Issues coming out of his pit box. Has to be forced to come back into pit road. This could be putting him a lap down and losing even more positions.
Same mistake Sean Huffstetler makes, just crosses up above the yellow line, gets that penalty. And this is something that Vincent Sora, you know, a driver like that loves to see, his playoff guys dropping down the leaderboard and gaining less points on him.
And right now, this is our leaders, and they're being passed by drivers that are trying to stay on the lead lap. Danny Cochran, Tyler Dangler, trying to make sure they stay in front of Ryan Ferraro, Pooler, and Dakota Moniz. Our top 3, they're shuffling now against one another, but can they make it to the end? As we're on lap 70, coming to 6, we are at 6 laps to go, coming to 5 laps to go. They're going to be close on fuel as well. This is all fuel mileage now from here on out, unless we get a yellow flag. If we get a yellow when we come across the line, we're going into overtime.
Oh, yes, we are. It'll be definitely worrisome times than if drivers took a set amount of fuel to get to a certain point. They'll have to worry about that. And then the drivers trying to stretch fuel definitely going to have to hit pit road here if that happens. But man, I believe Ferraro didn't top off either or Moniz, so this is going to be close for those drivers also.
Yeah, our whole entire top three all are going to be in very tricky situations on if they can make it to the end, but they're going to be letting that of Danny Cochran, Tyler Dangler going to be the lead drivers of this group. So they're hoping if a caution comes out, they'll be on the lead lap and they won't have to worry about being forced all the way to the end of the line, as we've got ourselves 5 laps to go. And right now, all eyes on our front three on if they can make it to the end, and then you have to fall back by over 12 seconds. They continue to lose ground, but I think that's because strategy of trying to save fuel. Max Voner, Walter, Whitley, also Jesse Thordick, they're all in this group, and they are deciding to drive over a full second slower than the lead pack. Zach, they're going to try their best for this group of our second pack.
Yeah, and this is exactly what I thought they'd be doing, because that is the group that topped off. It's Mark Whitley, Jonathan Smith, Jesse Thornton, Max Foner, and Thomas Walter. They all topped off there at that last lap possible. So they're going to have the most fuel of any drivers out here, man. So they are going to have the best chance. Right now, Thornton up top there, definitely going to want to be dropping in line if he wants to save any type of fuel, or maybe he feels confident to go for it here with 4 to go, but definitely the time's slowing down, so that tells me they're still very close.
Yeah, I mean, it is going to be extremely close for themselves. The 3 of Thomas Green was not feeling comfortable that he can make it to the end, so he goes all the way to the end of the line of this group. But you're starting to see them cycle through, trying to put the drivers that feel like, hey, we're just racing for a win up front, putting the playoff drivers in the middle of the pack, so they're saving the maximum amount of fuel possible. But it's the second pack of drivers, led by Ethan Smith back in 10th place. Ethan Smith, this group, they're running about 1 to 3 seconds faster than that second pack that are feeling pretty good that they can save enough, but they are coming with a head of steam, and if they can get in line, they can run even faster and really start catching up to our leaders.
No, they definitely can. The closer they get, the more they'll start to close, especially if they start to get sniffed. But I think it's just a little bit too far away from here. Is looking lap time wise, that group ahead of them in the 53-second bracket. Well, yeah, again, 51. So the time is closing down a lot. I think just with 3 laps, I don't know if it's going to be enough. They'll be closer than I expect, though, I imagine.
As the drivers are coming around, Ryan Ferraro, Dakota Moniz, Carl Pluler, they're now in line following the lap cars, and their goal, hope that they've saved enough. At this point, you've made your bed, you got to lay in it and sleep and hope that you can make it to the end. As they're coming through the trial, coming to 2 laps to go. Zach, all eyes on who has saved enough fuel and who can make it to the end.
Who can make it to the end is going to be very, very critical to winning this thing here. But, man, if you got a battle, do you have enough fuel? Ferraro, Pooler, and Moniz, they didn't top off. If they think they can do it, I'm feeling pretty confident that group behind them is, I believe they're starting to race even behind here. As Foner and Walter, they're racing Whitley and the 32 of Jonathan Smith. It's going to get a little bit mixy here for this position as 2 to go. Ferraro, can he do it, though?
Yeah, and here's the thing. You've got yourself with, watching the drivers that are up front or top 3. They're hoping they've saved enough, and if they have, they're racing for the win. Our top 3 could be earning some cash. First place, $50. Second place, $20. Third gets 10. But now, coming down the back, coming down through the front stretch, through the tri-oval, the drivers that are up front, they're hoping they've made it, and here we go. It's your Cosmic Candle white flag for that of the Buddy Custom Baits Gone Fishing 200. Can Ryan Ferraro, can Dakota Moniz and Pooler, have they gotten a big enough lead to try to hold off that second pack that's coming with that steam?
Here goes Moniz in the 5. He's going to have the help of Tyler Dingler up top. He's pushing in. They're wrecking.
Tyler Dangler, a lap car, out of the way, get out of here. You ain't gonna win this thing. Ryan Ferraro, hoping for his best. Dakota Moniz, bad luck and all, trying to go for a win. Polar, Ferraro, side by side as they go through 3 and 4. Who's going to get it done? Will there be more door banging? Dakota Moniz trying to get a win and to break the bad luck that he's had. Caught up in an issue before, but he goes up, blocks Carl Pooler. Pooler's got to run. Here comes now Ryan Ferraro to the inside. Lap car Danny Cochran trying to help the inside. It's the 5. Here comes Dakota Moniz. He saved enough fuel and wins here at Talladega.
By Moniz, Pooler, and Ferraro to save the fuel. I didn't think they'd be able to do it. They were more confident in the group behind them to go, and man, they end up pulling it off.
Dakota Moniz in the 5 got a win. I don't think anyone expected this to happen. It has been a running joke. There's been a bingo card of what's going to happen throughout the race, and it's always been the middle card of Dakota Moniz being caught up and finding bad luck. It struck early, but it gave him enough time to rebound, and with a win here, the 5 finding themselves $50 richer, and also saying he won here in the NAISCC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series, and now being bumped and pushed to the finish line because I'm pretty sure he is out of fuel.
Oh man, the sights here are beautiful to see. The 5 machine, Dakota Moniz, out of fuel here with the push of Thomas Walter. He's your winner tonight, man. That is cool to see him pull this off. And like you said, it's a common theme. What type of bad luck is going to strike the 5? And tonight, the luck was on his side. He made the fuel stretch, Sam, and he's a winner here at the NAISCC Truck Series.
Yeah, Dakota Moniz. This is going to be his second top 5 of the season. Incredible for him to be feeling this. And you look at Ryan Ferraro and others. I mean, these are drivers that really have not been running well. This is Ferraro's first top 5 of the season. This is Carl Pooler's first top 5, top 10. Anything in the stat column, Carl Pooler now is going to be here. These are 3 drivers we have not talked to at all this season. And man, I cannot wait to talk to these guys. I bet they're all going to be elated on the fact that they made their strategy work here tonight. The 5 doesn't got enough fuel to burn it down, but he got to the finish line at least.
Hey, he parked it, man. That's all you can ask for him. Parked it right there on the start-finish line, and big win for him, Sam. I'm so happy for Dakota. He's such a great guy, and like I said, he just get caught up in other people's mess a lot of times, and it's just good to see him have some good luck on the side. And I tell you what, look through the leaderboard too. A lot of playoff guys there down the board, so it may not be as worse for drivers such as Vincent Sora and Sean Hofstetter.
Yeah, and with no playoff, one of our championship 8 drivers not winning here tonight, no one is officially locked in by a win. We'll have to calculate the points, but that's going to be after today's show's over. But for us, the show isn't over just yet. We're going to step aside. When we come back, we get to talk to our top 3, Carl Pooler, Ryan Ferraro, and Dakota Moniz in just a few. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the NAISCC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series playoff race for number 1 of the round of 8. It was a good one here. It was that of the Buddy Custom Bates Gone Fishing 200 at Talladega, and it was strategy by our top 3 that got them in the position that they needed to be in and got it done. We're going to start things off with Carl Pooler and get his point of view here in the late stretch of saving fuel. Carl, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Congratulations on a top 3 this season. But man, what is going through your mind after finishing in the top 3 and seeing your strategy work?
Oh man, it is amazing, Sam. That was such an awesome race. And dude, that first stint before the stage break, I know the cautions really helped, but I was really able to save it. So after that last set of cars pit, I decided to, lay in that bed that I made, and I decided to really go for it. I had to let off a little bit there because I was just a little under, so I had to get into the draft, and that's what kind of caused me to be at the tail end of that 3. But man, the top 3 finish feels so good after today, especially after the rest of the season. Not just me, but the whole team has had.
Hey, Carl, it's also Zach up here in the movement. Congrats on a top 3 here tonight at Talladega, man. I'd say a great job. We did not expect, personally, from my point of view, I didn't expect you guys to make it. You didn't top off at the end of that stage there. Like we seen the group behind y'all, that finish behind y'all do. They were definitely, I think, a little more worried about that fuel. When did it become, in the mindset, hey, we need to stretch this? Was it late in the going, or was that straight from the start of that run?
Honestly, that was straight from the start. Being able to start in the back. I mean, I was 10th, 11th, 12th the entire race. Being back there really helped save fuel. You don't have to get up on the bumper. These trucks really catch up to the truck in front of you really good. So I was really able to save enough through there. I decided if I'm going to be anywhere near the front, I need to try something different, and I did, and it worked out.
Yeah, I mean, Carl, absolutely incredible, man. I would say all you guys that finished in the top 3. This has got to feel like a win. But we got 2 more races left in this season. How are you feeling about these next 2 races?
It's going to be interesting. Michigan, 2 miles. That track really rubs my tires off, so I really struggle saving tires there. But I'm just trying to stay out of the way and make sure these playoff drivers have a good run. I know I'm not in it, but being 3rd now sure feels good. I'm not sure I'm going to be up there in Michigan, but I'll sure try.
Well, Carl, congratulations on a top 3 here tonight at Talladega, and cannot wait to see what you guys do in the next couple of weeks. Good luck at Michigan next week.
Thank you, guys. You guys have a good day.
Wait, hold on, Carl. Before we let you go, we gotta make sure you shout out your sponsors and everyone else you want to shout out.
Oh, definitely. Shout out to you guys. First of all, you put on a great broadcast. I love having you guys on and watching your guys' broadcast. Shout out to the team. They're really supportive. Again, we've had a rough go of it this season, but we've really stuck together and just tried to hold each other up. And again, to my fans, I know my folks, my parents are watching, my wife's watching, my biggest fan. She pretty much sponsors this whole thing. So I'll call her out as a sponsor as well.
Well, Carl, congratulations again. Go have fun celebrating this one. Have a great rest of your night.
You guys too.
And now bringing in our second place runner, that of Ryan Ferraro. He's probably been one of the best drivers pushing people for most of the night. The 12 in second place. Ryan, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Man, tell us what's going through your mind on how that strategy went down.
Oh, man. Well, I'm glad the strategy worked out, but I won't lie. Second sucks. Yeah, got me?
And they're my bad about that, right? This is Zach also up in the booth, man. Congrats on the second. I know, like you said, would like to be that one position higher, man. But, definitely it was an interesting scenario there. Right from the beginning, I asked Carl this. He was right out the get-go trying to save fuel. Was that already in the mindset from the start in the drop of that caution due to where it was at? Because it kind of caught us off guard. We know we had a few guys top off behind y'all and get, a little bit of extra fuel. We felt like they would be a little bit safer. But, man, you guys went earlier and were able to hold the pace, too, with that 1 lap less extra on fuel. Was it right from the get-go, or did that kind of change as the run went on?
So, for me, it changed as the run went on. As soon as I realized we had, 37 to go, I realized I had to start saving at that moment. So, I was fuel-saving mode from that moment till the rest of the race.
Well, it certainly worked out. I know you wanted the win, but a top 3 finish is still got to be feeling pretty good, especially with how your season's been going there, Ryan. With this momentum, though, how are you feeling about moving into these next couple of races? We've got Michigan and Atlanta to finish it out.
Unfortunately, I will not be racing next week as I will be in California, but I will come back for Atlanta with the momentum. And I just got a win there in ARCA for the official series the other day, so hopefully I can carry that on and get a decent finish and try and stay out of the way for these guys running for a championship, but also at the same time just try and do as well as I can.
Well, Ryan, we will miss you next week, but congratulations on a second place finish. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to you guys for putting us on every week. My teammates at Cochrane Sawyer Racing, and then also K9, my sponsor. Thank you to her for sponsoring me and letting me run this scheme for her and trying to promote her business. So, and thanks to the admins for letting us run every single week and creating a place for us to race and have some fun every week.
Well, Ryan, congratulations on a second place finish. And when you come back for Atlanta, good luck then.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
And now we head to victory lane where he's been, wondering when he was going to see the luck change. And it finally struck here tonight. Dakota Moniz in the 5, getting a win. Dakota, you found yourself in some early troubles. We thought the bad luck was going to hit you early on. It did. But strategy gets you the victory here tonight.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When we got caught up in that wreck right before the stage, it definitely kind of brought me down a little bit. But I knew I had the faster pair to fall back on, and my strategy was just kind of hang out in the back and let the wrecks play themselves out. And yeah, we were able to save enough fuel at the end. I saw I was able to had about 0.1 to the good, and I knew I had a chance to save. So it was basically half throttle that whole second run.
Hey, Dakota, it's also Zach up in the booth, man. Congrats so much on the win here tonight, man. Good to see you get this victory here tonight, man. You were the driver to make the big move, though, there at the end. You were in that second position coming to the white flag. How confident were you on fuel? Because we saw you run out of fuel there on the cool down lap. And where did you run out of fuel? Because, man, that had to be pretty close because you went for it there at the end.
Yeah. Coming to the white flag, I saw that I had Tyler, my teammate, in front of Ryan, and I told Tyler on that white flag, jump to the outside and let me get your draft and I can get around Ryan. And I didn't mean to turn him coming down the backstretch, but I got hooked his bumper, but it was just enough for me to get around him. And then I was able to block to the line. And then I ran out of gas. Probably it started sputtering going into 1.
I mean, Dakota, this has got to be feeling pretty special. You've had some pretty, dismal luck in the Cup Series and also in the Truck Series. But man, how does this feel for you getting to victory lane?
Oh man, it feels amazing to win in this league. Either one of these leagues, the Cup Series or the Truck, it's such good competition, and it's just hard to win every week. So yeah, to grab a victory in this league is special for sure. And having you guys broadcast, it's even more special.
Well, Dakota, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, like I said, shout out to you guys. Amazing broadcast, professional broadcast. Love it every week. Shout out to my teammates, Jesse and Tyler. Definitely shout out to Tyler for helping me out on that last lap. And then just shout out to all the sponsors that sponsor the league and keep us going every week.
It's going to be Dakota Moniz in the 5, getting the win here tonight at Talladega. Congratulations, Dakota, and good luck in these next couple of weeks. And congratulations on winning $50.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
And Zach, with that, we'll now transition over, taking a look at our unofficial results, where there's going to be a lot of unhappy drivers on where they lied. But, man, what a race it was. Strategy was the key that got our top 3 into the position they're in. Dakota Moniz in first, Ryan Ferraro in second, Carl Pooler in third, Max Foner in fourth, Thomas Walter gets fifth, with that Mark Whitley only able to get 6th place for himself, with Jonathan Smith, Jesse Thordick, Ethan Smith, and Cody Reed, going to be finishing out your top 10. But you look at the rest of the board, that's kind of shocking to see where the rest of the playoff drivers place themselves.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you look throughout it on the top 10, there's only 2 guys in the playoffs there involved in that ending there. So, man, I tell you what, it's definitely shook things up. Vincent Sora, I think, back there all the way back in that 27th position. He's got to feel a little bit better knowing that Sean Huffstetter finished 26th, James Loveland finished 24th. And also, his teammate Danny Cochran finished 22nd. It's tough, but you're racing your teammates down to the end of this thing, man. And seeing those guys right there, I think that gives him a little bit of hope, possibly.
Well, we have Brian Johnson back in the booth with us. Brian, 2 more races left this season. One next week at Michigan to figure out who's going to be in our Final Four, and then our championship race at Atlanta. How are you seeing it from your point of view?
Well, I think, even though that many of the playoff drivers did finish at the back of the field, next week is still just very, very important, with all of them, well, most of them sitting there at the back of the field tonight. The points were pretty close going into this race, and coming out of this race, they're still going to be close. So next week going to be super important. We'll just have to wait and see who races in that final race there, who the final 4 is going to be. But those guys definitely going to have to prepare and really just prepare for anything in that race.
Absolutely. And Zach, tonight's race filled with controversy and a lot of sparks flying, but that's what playoff racing gives you, especially at a wild card race like Talladega. And now we're heading to Michigan. Pretty similar. Some of these drivers saw their fate being doomed by other drivers' mistakes. Could be a similar thing that we go into next week.
Oh, man. You think it got a little bit spicy here tonight, folks? I tell you what, tune in next Monday night, because all this drama that happened here tonight is going to boil over into not only tomorrow night or next week's race, but also the final race of the season for the championship. So we got 2 really crazy races coming up. You don't want to miss out on this. I'm gonna tell you that much. And we're here for it, Sam. That's all I gotta say. We're here for it, and we're ready to see how it all shakes out here in these final 2.
That we absolutely are here for it. We thought coming in tonight the rivalry was just against Mark Whitley and Vincent Sora. Well, after Talladega, there's a couple of more feathers that have been ruffled up. We'll have to wait and see who comes going into next week with angry tempers and who's going to be making it out to race for a championship. Well, before we finish out tonight's broadcast, there is one more man that needs to talk with us here tonight. From the production chair, we send things over to Robert Moyer.
Wow. Thank you, Sam. Good calling, guys. Again, like as always. Hopefully, everybody enjoyed tonight's content here with the NAISCC Truck Series and Talladega. We come into Talladega always, and I always call it a crapshoot, but that's just me. But anybody can win this race, and no matter when you come here, and it's just a proven fact right here that you got 3 guys that struggled all season, and you come here and they finish in the top 3. That's amazing. That's good for them. They worked a strategy and definitely caught us all off guard up here in the booth by their fuel saving. That is very, very impressive from all top 3 of them. But like you guys said, this is going to get heated up really, really fast. Wait till we see what's going to happen next week at Michigan, one of my favorite tracks. When they bring out these trucks here, we'll see if there's any heated rivalries and see if one of these playoff drivers can get a win next week, or they battle for position for points to make it in to the next round. If somebody like tonight, not in the playoffs, wins wins the race next week, and then we head off to Atlanta to finish off the season. So the next 2 races are going to be very, very, very interesting, if you ask me. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and like button out there in YouTube. If this is your first time tuning in here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we do much appreciate it. And then if you don't mind, hit that share button and share it to your favorite social media platforms. We do much appreciate that. The league appreciates that, and get the word out about Freaky Fast Broadcasting and all the content that we do here every night, basically. So, but with that being said, our next televised broadcast will be Wednesday night with Underdog Racing League. So make sure you tune in at 8:30 Eastern when we go live with them guys there in the Xfinity cars, and that's going to be fun to watch, see how that all plays out. But until then, have a great Monday night, have the great Tuesday, and have a good Wednesday, and we will catch you Wednesday night. But until then, here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we always like to say, God bless everybody. Love yous all. Peace out.